let's go through just the green things. We can't do it alone. We need to invite people in, be humble and be vulnerable. So in the GM meeting, we talked about, I can't remember, 200 years of experience in that room, and we are not capturing probably capturing 60% of our potential because we're not teaming. So again, I encourage y'all to take 10 minutes out of your day, watch the video and see how, I just see it as teaming from you guys and Fsrg. I see how you guys can team with your AMs. I see how the AMs can team with the ZZTs and AMs. It is just a multi-level. And again, what's the purpose of a net out?
Okay.
Comprehend.
And?
Can it what?
And?
Give you like a template to teach other people with.
Teach. All right, then. So we have Director of Operations, Director of Operations, Director of Training, Director of Human Resource. So as a company, obviously we think those three things are greatly important, greatly important. Sam and I are here to serve you. Jeff is here to serve you guys, and they are as well. So, but you guys are here to serve them too for one common goal. Professional culture clash, major barrier, don't always see eye to eye. And that's a pretty simple example of what you have. That's just people being knuckleheads, and we are all knuckleheads. So we all believe, like I have a little journal each week. I try to put a new thought down, and I put down a couple weeks ago that the things that I think are very important, other people don't think are important at all. That's pretty tough to. So when you guys come in and talk to these guys, or when they're talking to you, what they're saying is really important to them. Are you hearing what they're saying as important? Or are you thinking about your response to what? So.
All right, so a couple things probably to stump out on communication. I've been really talking to these guys here about that a lot. If y'all are learning a lot in here with Todd, if Shane gives y'all 1 to 2 things every week, if Heather gives y'all 1 to 2 things a week, if Blaze gives you 1 thing a week, and y'all are having to communicate that down, what does that look like? So I've kind of challenged, especially Heather with training, like, maybe you tell them, but we're asking you guys to disseminate a crap load of information. And we know that's not happening. We're not even entertaining the fact that it is happening, because it's almost impossible. Because not only do you have to get it down, then you have to follow up on it and teach it. And so trying to figure out a way to, when we're in the stores, to kind of follow up on a lot of different things that are happening. So the negative part, I know I've been much more conscientious. I was at a store last week and pull up in the car. I watched the car get pulled up and drive through. I started my stopwatch because there wasn't one car behind them, not one, for 7 minutes. Mm-hmm. And then the next car pulled up. And then like 3 more came. 2 cars pulled off, and then that car got their order. So it was roughly like 11 minutes. I could have walked in there and I was pissed. I sat in my car for an extra like 6 or 7 minutes. And then I walked in there and didn't say a word, because I knew how it was going to look. So it's a fine line on what we can go in there and say and what we can't go in there and say. So talking about the promotion process, that was written under easier promotion process. So what I really want to hear is kind of from you guys what you guys say the steps are. Because we wrote I have written down what our steps are, or what we think they are, but it's really what you guys think they are, and then let's work it from there and see what we can do. So like step one, you have a team member who you want to become a manager. What would be the first step for that person?
You want to definitely, well, you want to actually know what their buy-in is. So why do they want to be a manager? You actually have the conversation first with them. You know, I know that there's like CCT that goes, but having that initial conversation with them about their time commitment and what that's going to take. So you're setting realistic expectations, and you're also seeing where the alignment is, whether or not they're actually matching us. So it's just like that.
That's their drive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
why do
it's
they
really
want
at the
it? Do they want it just because they want the money? Do they want it because they actually care about the store, the people, the guests, and making sure we're clear with the expectations so that they can go think about it and then come back to us. The tool that they handed out last week, I think it was, Heather handed out, is amazing. It was the first time it had all been written down, those expectations. So sit down and have that opening conversation with is great.
Verify the expectations.
Make sure you get it.
That's where I lay out the trust policy and the base shift document too.
And that was when you're referring to that, are you referring to the yes, no sheet and the manager expectations sheet?
It's the
management development.
The management development plan.
Development plan.
It's in Dropbox. You
Yes.
can pull it up.
It is.
It's great. Do you want me to try to pull up stuff as we go, Sam?
No, I have it, basically the steps to get to each thing, and you'll acknowledge that they're there.
Yay, winning.
And if we need to walk through it, we can do that. Okay, so, and again, I'm just getting like, from you guys' perspective, what is step one of identifying somebody who wants to be a manager? So then what would be step two? What would we?
Moving them into a training role and seeing whether or not how well they can execute that with guidance and training with them. Because like when we say you're a trainer, we're putting them through the ZUs and then they complete their CCT, they don't know how to train. We have to actually teach that
But
and
it's
develop
not
that.
only just training, it's also, there's a lot of other responsibilities. Can they be responsible, giving them a small responsibility, like this area of the restaurant, you are to keep all the to-go materials things, give them an area of responsibility to see if they will do it without you having to remind them that they take pride in it, they do it. You don't have to constantly say, hey, did you do your thing today?
Stretch assignments or whatever.
Yeah, stretch assignments, that's the word, I couldn't think of the word, good job.
Provide
Heard,
ownership.
teaming, right here.
Hey, now we're talking. Create clarity and develop them.
We're still under trainer with that.
Yeah, kind of step two.
Say that again.
Provide ownership, create clarity, and develop them through it.
And there's that element from our book, teaching is the best way to learn. And so putting them in that training role and seeing what they can do is the best way they can actually learn to have those leadership skills so they get that ability to fail.
Then within that, anytime that I'm giving anybody responsibility, I kind of explain kind of what the time frame is that we're talking about here. Like for example, if they're responsible for X corner of the store, okay, you're going to be in charge of this for the next month or whatever. That way they know, okay, this is the process that we're going to be measuring you. That way they've got an understanding that it's not going to be 2 weeks that we're going to be like, all right, you're doing great, we're going to move on. They need to understand this is a process.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
That's right. You can move at 5K. I'm not quite a marathon.
I think that kind of moves into step three of just providing that growth path and tracking that progress for the guys, whoever it may be, and kind of what that next step will be from, if it's a training role, what's next for them. But it might be step two as well still. Seems like a lot in step two.
Step three would be where you go to CCT, where they're overseeing the trainers and doing some follow-up work and delegating.
They think.
Sorry, do what?
What did you say?
What did I say? Just providing a growth path and then having structure behind tracking that growth path for them. The next step is X, Y, and Z to then move to whatever that next thing would be with them.
See, to me, that's the conversation.
That's in that drive conversation. If that's
Somewhat,
good,
yeah.
then I'm setting that path already. If that conversation's going well.
Yeah,
If it's not going well, I'm gonna set that path. Okay, well, this is what we're gonna do.
I kind of see it as verbally seeing it, then physically seeing it, put those two together, then giving it to them. Step 1, 2, and 3.
And
As opposed to going through everything and letting them, they want to have the end in mind of what their final, whatever it is, but a lot of times they'll look at it and be like, well, I want to be there now. So kind of unveiling it a little bit at a time, but giving them the ultimate goal as well.
there is actually, or I was gonna say, there is a tool that we don't use in Talent Reef. They have like employee goals. You can track it and you can put comments in as they go, so you can kind of set, this is where they're at, and then you can kind of go in, instead of putting your notes in, you can put it in the employee goals section to kind of follow up with that. So that you've got those clear metrics, and then the managers are going back and actually following up on those specific things you've kind of outlined as their goals.
I'm a little confused because I think every step that they step up is a promotion. So I think this process will be repeated from employee to trainer to CTC, CDC on each level. So I guess, are we coming up with one brick or are we coming up with the entire plan? I'm trying to understand what.
The biggest thing is seeing it from you guys' eyes of what, obviously growing from within is a huge way for us to get where we want to go. I mean, that's a big part of that. So it's, again, the biggest thing I want to know is what you guys see. I mean, y'all, we've identified the appraisal process, and this is a challenge, I guess. Like, there's some challenges with it. So it's identifying what exactly the path is, then where the challenges are, and then coming up with a solution to making it. Is the hope.
Tasha, are you saying basically for each step, you're saying, to provide the ownership, the clarity, and developing them, that's for each step, right? And I think I was assuming, yes, we all know that, we're just clarifying that in that second step, I guess, after that conversation, that is what has to happen. And then, yes, each step would, pretty much those three things would always
Because
happen.
a big part of it that I'm hearing is conversation about commitment. You made him a trainer, you made him a CCT, yes, all this is going to happen, hopefully.
Continues.
Yeah, continuously. All right, so what would step 4 be?
Assuming that would be the MIT.
Well,
That's not a position though.
but that's not a position anymore.
That's a phase.
So,
But you've got to have something to go
You're right,
from
yeah.
CZT to manager, so there's got to be something in between.
so the actual manager
Well, I said
training.
that to Blaze and he told me no.
No, what, I was gonna say, why would you have to have to me, that would be it. And I don't know what the process has been necessarily, so I know there's the MIT, but my thought is you go from training trainers to an assistant manager.
Well, so
So what do
once
you
you
do
make your
before that?
CZZ, your CZT, however you say it, once you take that test, which used to be the manager certification test, still called the manager certification test, all that tells you you don't know nothing about being a manager. What you know how to do is cook. You understand Zaxby's operating procedures,
Okay.
and you know how to cook everything,
So
you
the
understand
MIT
when things are
develops
supposed
the
to live.
knowledge.
So when is that test taken?
That's taken for the CZT. To become a certified trainer, they have to take and pass that test.
That is
And
what, yeah, that's the
that means
graduation
operationally-
from trainer to CZT.
Right,
So that's in between step 2.
Yes.
Yes,
Well, it's like
yes.
MIT would be kind of like the arrow that would go from 3 to 4. Is that
right.
right?
Actually, that's the
Well,
AM.
see, I-
They take that test on AM.
Yeah, there's two different tests. There's a CDT and just sat down with Heather.
It's still another test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
The training stands on this.
So, that certification test that they give that particular certificate for, basically means they understand our operating procedures, protocols, and
Yeah,
everything.
that's the ops test,
The
right?
ops
It's
test.
not the manual test.
The manager test is another test after that. So after that is the preparation and passing of the manager test.
Are they still a CZT at this point?
Yes, they are CZT. But if they want to go beyond CZT, then there's that whole manager development plan on Zaxby's U that includes the AM test
So what'd you call it, prep for?
For AM.
for AM. The development plan, it's the AM development plan, and it ends with the manager test. And that's when you learn all that.
And that's kind of the base shift expectations when we're talking about not just the Zaxby's corporate stuff, that's the FSRG things.
Yeah,
That's what
that's when we work that
training
into
program.
it too.
And this,
Yes,
Yes, yeah.
and we
Base
move,
shift expectations, running a solid base shift.
yeah, because we have the yes/no sheet, so measuring their competency
Right,
from
and that's
CCT
that's a
versus.
good tool for that. And that'll help them gauge when they're ready for the next step as well.
so now what are we?
So step 4 and 5 is kind of just knowledge check slash
Practice, practice, practice,
Yeah.
practice, practice.
all of that, and then you move into real ownership.
Because you've got people who can sit there and knock that stuff off online and do those lessons, but they cannot talk to a crew member or a guest to save their lives. And that's what we need them doing, is talking to the guests, talking to the crew member, and remembering who is the reason we're there. And that's really where all the servant leadership lessons come in. They should have that basis there if they're even gonna go further.
Oh, so
You have to already
hopefully
see it. But that's when they
they're starting to
realize
guess
what it
before.
Yeah.
is and what they're doing and how it builds on itself, and it just becomes second nature.
I have a question.
Yes.
So where does ServSafe fall in y'all's mind? Because I mean, if they're gonna run a shift, they need to be certified before they run the
Probably step
shift.
5 right there.
That's probably in here.
All of that stuff is in
That's
step 4
part
and
of
it.
5, more so 5.
If, yeah.
Actually,
you want
what
that
they
training.
certified trainer, I think they're gonna get, and
I
look
want that
at
in my
Yeah.
trainers.
Yeah, 'cause
I mean,
I
my
would-
trainers need to know
I would
that.
agree with what you
Yeah.
just said, Tasha. I
There's no
mean,
reason, I mean,
because if they're gonna be training trainers, if that's
They
what
need to be
CCT
certified.
really is, they should probably know that stuff before, if
Yeah.
they're doing the Zaxby stuff.
And food safety management is under the CCT section of the yes/no sheet.
All right, step 6, where we,
no.
Gio goes on vacation because he ain't been handling shift.
Well, step 6.
I missed that step, man. Come on.
It's
It's
fake.
the real ownership, giving them the bucket, whatever that may be. I feel like they're now into that role that you need them to be in.
like
They're
AMR?
Yeah.
somewhere in there, yes, assistant, whatever it is that that person's being used for, that's their area of ownership. And I provided a bucket
Yeah.
or,
You know,
Whatever it is.
It's like AM with a net, is what I call it, with a net. Where they're with somebody.
Mhm.
They're still in somebody else's bucket, right?
Yeah.
They can't carry their own bucket yet.
Well, and again, hopefully, a bucket holder has been working with this person.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're ready to step into a role.
Right.
They've made it, slash, the development doesn't stop, but.
Step 7? There is one.
I mean, at some point, they have to have discussions with FSRG and like director of training and have these discussions with all of y'all, I would assume. Or are we just assuming these discussions are taking place?
I was told that there's observations that have to take place.
Yes,
and how
that's
do
a
you
part of the
assess
managing
those?
task.
So that's part of
Yeah, that's
the
probably.
assessments.
That's all that,
Yeah.
systems.
So is that before or after certification? Because I was told they had to be observed before certification. You just said after, and you just said before, so I'm, or
Oh,
vice
it's after.
versa, sorry. So they get,
They get certified first and
and
then,
then they're
then-
observed afterwards?
So-
yeah, because the certification, like we were saying, is just
She's talking
basically
about
the
the
book smart.
certification you're talking about.
Oh.
I feel-
Yeah, I'm talking about like
As a-
stamp of approval, they're good to
Yeah.
go type of thing. Okay.
Yeah, that's what.
So that happens after the observation. They have to come in, we say, hey, we think they're ready, then this is what I was led to believe. When we have that conversation, we communicate that to Heather and Shane, then they come in and they say, you're right, we'll go ahead and give them, we'll allow them to have the keys and code.
Oh, see, mine's backwards, because my two Brees that just moved up, they did all the book smart stuff first, passed their certification test, and then, ran shifts, and that's when Heather and, well.
That's what
Heather
we're saying.
came
That
in
that
after that.
certification test is not being certified as a manager for
No, yeah,
us.
right.
So it's
Yeah.
after they've taken that certification test, but before we hand them keys and a code, they have to be observed and watched
Yes.
and running shifts.
Okay.
Yes.
Almost flip-flop those, like they'll do that and then they come down.
Yeah.
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 And so here's a topic of conversation about this part of it. So, and I will between Todd and I, we watched it 100 times, and some of them have been very uncomfortable and miserable to sit through. So I think a big part of this, whether I'm in here or Todd's in here, or it's just Blaze or it's just Shane or whoever, you know, when Bree comes in here, it would be nice to know, and this is a kind of a request, like what they're probably really good at, what they have no idea about. Because if not, there's gonna be like a standard set of questions and just kind of a talk through, and it's like, okay, well, tell me about food costs. Well, if you haven't really focused with them on food costs, it turns the entire experience for them not good at all. But to say, hey, they're really good with talking with guests, they're really good here. I haven't really talked to them about this, but here's a plan for them. Haven't really talked to them about food costs and things like that. And that way we know. And like I told Blaze, then you don't even ask the question about food costs, because we know they don't know that. So why are we going to put them in that position to even ask the question?
Yeah.
So it would be nice to know before they came in here what exactly that
Yes,
these guys are
sure.
walking into.
And you go through the bucket, right? So if this person has been in a bucket or 2 buckets or 3 buckets, however many,
Yes.
through that process, then you're sitting down at a table, those 2 or 3 people know these are the buckets this person has been in, and this is what they should know or shouldn't know out of that.
That's right.
Okay.
And that's
But
utilizing
the
the
way I
tool you're
understand
talking
it,
about,
and I could be completely wrong,
that Blaze,
that-
Shane have access to as well.
Go ahead.
so the way I completely understand it is that to be able to get their keys, their code to be an AM for FSRG, they haven't even started the buckets. They may have watched you do buckets, it's part of the learning process, but they've not been responsible. They don't have to have full knowledge. They have to we are teaching them how to run a shift, how to come in, run the shift, get it done. We'll build the rest of the stuff after we get them running a solid shift, because we don't need to be giving, because they tend to want to run with the bucket because it's more fun than the everyday daily grind of running the shift, for sure. And so they get off track.
All agree.
So I'm doing the exact opposite with my person in training right now. Like, her entire training program is built around her having the small focus of, this is your bucket, you are the director of drive-through, so now in your CCT role, you have to build a drive-through team over the next 6 weeks. Let's identify the people you're gonna work with, let's schedule you with that person, let me observe you as you train these people, see how you're executing this, correct you when you aren't speaking to them in a proper way. So we're building those management skills within the subset of their particular skill set of what they're working on. And then as they move to the management section, yes, we're developing them with their skills of base shift expectations, but it's all through the guise of, she's the director of drive-through. So she's got to achieve this, so it gives her something to plan for. So we now are training her to plan for her shifts ahead of time, because if she's just walking in and doesn't have a plan for the week, how is she going to build her team? And so she's learning how to plan because she's got this very focused aspect of what she's doing. So we're doing kind
And
of.
hopefully that will get everybody else on your team planning
Exactly.
because you've got to plan for somebody to be there to learn. And
And then they're like, oh, now you have to plan ahead of the schedule because you've got Haley, so you can't rely upon her to do this. So you have to work with her on the schedule. So now you need to make the schedule sooner. You can't just wait until the last.
and again, the
minute.
whole goal here is, y'all identified it as, there was some challenges, is what can we do to streamline it
Yeah.
and make it easier? And nothing's gonna be easy. This is gonna take planning, hard work, communication with these people, communication up to here, but it's making it so it's more streamlined. The way I look at it is, it's giving you guys more control. I mean, you should pick I think you should pick your people. If you're training your people correctly. I mean, that's the whole, they should be getting nuggets of stuff from here. That's what we're here to do, is support you guys, to give them maybe stuff that you didn't cover, because at some point, there's gotta be a step for like NMO, whatever that, whenever that is. So that's the whole goal with it. I don't know if there's a complete right, complete wrong way. I mean, I think what you're doing is good. I think what Danielle just said is good as well. But, they're probably learn to run a base shift while they're doing that stuff. So it's, if they're seeing what a good shift looks like, how to be prepared for a shift as they come in the door as a cashier, it makes it a whole lot easier for them to learn, hey, this is what it looks like. This is what I know that I should be doing on a day in, day out basis, no matter what. I mean, I gotta do that stuff before I can even get to this other stuff, so.
Sam, can I ask a couple questions?
Yes.
So, if we're making somebody a director of drive-through and they don't know what they're doing, that concerns me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is, that I'm doing what I said earlier, I'm presenting problems, not having solutions, I'm just, and with Zaxby's, so if they pass that ZZT, you've always called it their toolbox, Sam,
Right.
that, if they're at this corporate store, that certifies them as a manager?
I mean, on paper.
But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That's-
well, and that's why they created this test. This gets a little more into, I haven't taken it, but I know, I mean, I saw the premise of it, there's more soft skill stuff, there's more.
It's more of the office managerial kind of stuff.
Yeah, the stuff that was never on there. Again, that's given the baseline of what a,
It
they-
replaced the 10-question one that we did back in the day.
right.
I'm just saying maybe they should take the certification off the title of that test. 'Cause it doesn't really certify them to do anything, just gives them some.
Operations steps.
Yeah.
Yeah, all those things.
I see a lot of gray area. I mean, this is not black and white, and it's
No, it's
very
not.
much like 5 different ways, and everybody's different impressions.
Okay, so.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I'm all for it.
So,
I kind of like a little gray, but
Does everybody agree with, the first thing you do is have a conversation about the commitment that it takes with that?
Absolutely.
Then step 2, you identify you're gonna make them a trainer. Is that, again,
The stretch assignments.
take all that stuff out, because that stuff should happen, and if we need to identify, like, these are some things that you're gonna teach them in there, but the next step is becoming a trainer, is that,
yes.
See what they have, step 2.
and tell you, that's what these guys, when we sat through the same thing, we didn't, this was not a step, we just assumed that step was done, so made them a trainer. So the next step after they become a trainer, they become a CZT, a
Yes.
certified Zaxby's trainer.
Can we get a firm definition on what that is? Because we're hearing some people say that's an MIT, then some people are saying that's not an MIT.
Again, my interpretation of it, this, because it's what Zaxby's copied our system.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they copied our model, basically. We weren't calling it this. This is what an MIT probably used to be for us. And to make it consistent
Mm-hmm.
with, now, if somebody comes in, we hire them off the street, a manager, we're probably calling them an MIT, like they're a manager in training. Like, we've hired them as a manager, and we are now training them. They're not, they didn't do this first, the conversation was had here, that they're essentially becoming an MIT at
Step 3.
step 3. We just called it because all the material was already done through ZU and through Zaxby's, and we didn't have to create a whole bunch of stuff, so it was like, hey, can we agree with that?
So MIT was our verbiage?
Yes.
Okay.
And I will say, MIT is still our verbiage, like when we hired Tim, when we hired you, you were a manager in training to start off.
Gotcha.
Because we hired you as a manager. And the growth path looks probably a little bit different. It doesn't on ZU, but it looks different because you're essentially going from there down at that point. Brian, like you have something?
No, I was agreeing,
Okay,
because I'm fine, I'm glad to hear somebody say that.
so we can, everybody,
Yes.
the CZT,
yes.
and again, this step is, you're growing a whole bunch of different areas with that. All right, so step 4 y'all had, you gotta pass the operations test. How many questions is that? That's strictly on operations.
It's like the, like just 20-something that's got
Okay,
multiple
but
parts to
I
it.
was under the
think
impression
that
you
was
had to
30.
pass that operation test to become a certified Zaxby's trainer. If you don't pass that
That's- yeah,
operations
that's it.
Is
test,
that right?
you cannot be a certified Zaxby's trainer.
Yeah, so I guess.
So that
that's
has to be
step
up there.
I don't think
With
that's
that.
a step. I think that's part of
Yeah.
CZT. So when I'm a CZT, I have already,
Okay.
I've already taken that test.
And again, for you guys, for like, when you two were brought on, that was probably the step.
Yeah.
So we're talking about internal, so that happens.
As part of that.
Step 3 is just the knowledge and growth path laid out is what it is.
It's the steps of Zaxby's to get to where you need to be.
Yeah.
So now we're at step
Step 4 is starting that assistant manager development plan on Zaxby's U and learning the soft skills.
Have I agree with that?
So she had said it's the start of. For me, when I look at a list, right, the training role, they are a trainer, but they are developing into a CZT through this process. So now that they have taken their test, they are now a CZT. So the next things they're working on is actually their assistant manager stuff while they're a CZT.
Yes.
So to me, that wouldn't be a separate step of, well, now you're in the development plan. No, now you're actually working as a CZT, you are working on becoming an assistant manager, getting all that stuff in place. So the next step or next, once you've passed all your tests, now you're an AM. I just don't want to get the beginnings and ends of things
Right, but you
because now
can
you're going
pass
to
that
have 12
test
steps.
online and still not have keys in the code.
Sure.
And until you have keys in the code, you're not an
Sure.
AM.
But to me,
You're still
that's,
CZ.
so to me, that is where Blaze and Shane's approval, those approvals, all of that stuff is coming into play
Right.
to check and balance.
Based on what we're telling them.
Correct.
And that's where the communication can fall apart if we assume they already know, yeah, they're ready. We really need to be better at following up with them on, this is where they're at, this is what they know, this is what they don't know, here's our plan. But we feel that they're ready to get a set of keys and open or do that.
So are we saying that, and I know it's all situational based because, and it's all dependent upon that person because you got some AMs that can do just run a base shift, and then you got some AMs that you can give buckets to and
Or they want more.
they're still,
Yeah.
or they want more and they're still an AM. I think what we're trying to define right here is at what point do we say you're AM and what point do you get keys? Is that a different thing? Are you a certified trainer / shift manager, or is there another step in there that they can now run shifts but they don't have keys?
Think
Or,
until you've got your keys and code, you
Yeah.
can open and run shifts by yourself and close by yourself.
Shouldn't be a
that's
big deal, right?
the assistant manager all day long.
Right.
But I think that we have some people that are in the middle of that
Yeah.
that you really want to be more than a CTZ, but you might not be keys in the code yet. So I don't know if y'all want to take over.
So you're still developing them, basically.
Right.
So I mean, they're not a full AM until they're signed off by leadership.
That's a huge transition step though, that's not in our process, it's crazy important.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Crazy difficult time-wise for one versus the other, so.
Four, and that's probably 5.
So, I know I do it a little bit differently than this group, but for instance, I had 3 people come on and they did everything. They passed the CZT test, they passed the assistant manager test, and I told them they're still not managers. That's not, they're ready to go according to Zaxby's, but they're still okay. And then when that time came, okay, you're ready for this, I put them in the show. Still no keys, no alarm code, and they still closed as a drive-through person up front, back, something like that. But I gave the team time for them to acknowledge, okay, this is the role they're going into, and dignify them and show that they were getting a path. And then after that, they were assigned a bucket to follow with somebody who knew what they were doing, and they learned that specific role on top of the big shift. And if they're not getting that role, then it doesn't show me that they need keys, or that they're not moving. You can still have someone in my mind that is a manager that can help you run a shift while you're in the office, like your CZT, that doesn't have the keys. And I guess that's your approval process at the very end. It's Blaze, okay, here you go. Blaze,
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, I definitely agree with what you're saying. It is important. Somewhere in that process, after you've identified them as that person and you know they're going to get there, go ahead and putting them in that uniform so that it pushes people to go to them.
But you
when
don't,
you have to
but
step
you don't
out.
have to give them keys or
Right,
anything. That's a
but you
promotion
want them
in
to get
itself.
used to feeling a little bit of that pressure so that when they do step into that role completely, they're not freaking out.
Like you
And so
said.
the difference between an outside hire and an inside hire in this group that we're doing is that once they pass the CCT and are working towards that, that's when they get the shirt. They don't get their keys, they don't get that, but we put them in the other shirt so that the team starts looking at them in that role of, this is who I go to, this is who is going to help me run and execute my shift. This is my go-to person. And they're still not getting keys, they're still not getting their code, they're still not done, but that is our transition time. And that's when they get that shirt and they start to feel that weight of what the shirt means. It's not just not having to wear the other shirt.
Yeah, I think that's really important in the process.
I think so too. And then when they come from without, or outside without, when they come from outside, they come in that shirt. Because we're bypassing all that other identifying stuff. They've been identified at hire. And so they come in that shirt and start, that way the people already know, hey, this is the new person that's getting ready to be a manager. This is who I'm going to start going
So
to.
probably right in here is where they get the shirt.
CZT? Yep.
Yeah. After they pass the
After they pass that CZT test.
This is.
And it's a big deal for them too, to get to change that shirt. They really get excited.
It is a big deal.
It's a
I've never seen
huge
anybody
deal.
that wasn't super pumped about that.
They
I'd say
cannot
the name
wait.
tags are also a big
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah, the name
For
tags
real.
are a big deal too.
Somebody freaked out.
Something I noticed when we went to stage 3, you correct me if you think I'm out of bounds here, but I would say 90% or more of that room had been acting GMs, whether it was corporate stores or other places, in their stage 3. We were just coming in to that, and it was interesting because we're sitting around tables and they're like, oh yeah, I'm doing this and doing that. I'm like, wow, okay. And so I think I think our process is better in the fact that we are starting to push those envelopes of getting people to that point and getting the information before.
That's right, because I'm getting ready to throw something else on at you.
Okay.
Once we get this.
So we're gonna go step 4.
Hey, Can I
Go ahead.
elaborate so on what you said, Nick, and what you said, Brian? But I keep going back, Brian, to what you said, I don't know when you said it, you talked about the difference in teaching somebody how to run a shift and then teach them how to be a leader. So look at your store, Nick, and then look at Snellville. Snellville, and look at Brazelton 2 months ago compared to what it is now. Sugarloaf, and you two guys were the biggest proponents in the last meeting about some leeway on being able to grow your own people. So it depends on where you are. And like, I've been talking with Taylor Perry quite a bit. I don't think they do any of this stuff. I think they have kids running their stores. And that's kind of what you're saying, Matt. We each got a guy that quit here to go be a general manager somewhere, and he couldn't become a AGM for us.
I mean, in a perfect world, in an ideal world, you've got 8 of these running around, like 6 of these running around, or 10 of these running around, and 6 or 8 of these running around. I mean, that's.
But what I'm saying, until we get there, and that's what these guys were saying last time, our process is to, and it should be strict, but if we don't have the people to help them get, y'all were talking about bridging the gap. If we don't have the people, then we gotta have
People to make progress.
a plan B or something.
I can't really speak on your circumstance, but I mean, at least for myself, I mean, we didn't have people to do it. It means me that has to suck it up and suffer, you know what I mean? But, I mean, in doing so, I mean, you're condensing this cycle. You know, this may take 12 weeks whenever things are going great, but how we do this now, and so they're gonna run these shifts with me right now. You know, and then we can get all the fluffy stuff later, but like, I need somebody to run these shifts today. And so then suddenly things get a little bit quicker. You're gonna get traction with them because they're gonna spend time with some upper level leaders and hopefully get the ball rolling faster. I mean, I don't know if you
Yeah, it's
echo
kind of
that.
like it's like that step 4 when they go from that CZT for me and that management training when I'm talking about that leading through that director drive-through. This is a baby who's not getting pushed out of the nest. Like they have that focus in their lens and how they're thinking about it, but I'm there going like, okay, well, is that the right decision? It's all right. So you want to train Christian Mendez? That's a great kid. He's going to leave us in 4 months because he's going away to college. You want to rethink that guy as the guy you're going to train? Yeah, I do. All right, that's great. Let's move on to the next guy. Who you got?
That's what developing is, man.
Yeah, it's just like until they get that chance to fail and then be there to be like, no, we're gonna no. Well, let's think about that in a different way. Or where were you successful? So there's always that. That's why I call it the net. Is it's like they're gonna run a shift and they're gonna run it with me or they're gonna run it with Alex, and we're there to support them and be ready and then to be able to give that appropriate coaching and that feedback to them while they go through that management training and learn those base shift expectations, learn the execution of the systems, and learn the manager walks and all that jazz.
Okay, so, I mean, so they become an AEM after Blaze, Shane approved, they're giving keys, code, name tag, and is that kind of the final, I mean, there's continuous learning, I mean, that's
Yeah.
step 4, the interview would be, and again, if you see it, you know, in here Mondays, I'm working with Sally over here, Steven's working with Sally, you know, and I'm gonna give her 3 weeks, but I wanna go in and set up the interview, because you don't want there to be a bump in the process. And then step 5, they're an AEM, you've assigned a bucket. Maybe you've already assigned them somewhat of a bucket, but you can truly assign them a bucket they're responsible for.
And I'll speak for Blaze, because he's not here, he'll want the new manager orientation to happen at some point.
Okay, so that's probably, we'll call that there.
Is that gonna be a quarterly thing, or?
Yeah, we want to do it like ServSafe, where there's like anywhere between 4 to 6 a year. Like, and I've asked him, put it on the calendar. Like, go ahead and have it, if Tuesday's your slowest day generally, and nothing gets in the way of that. Now, if we don't have somebody, we move on. But if we have somebody, then we do it. So, but, you know, he can invite you guys. If you know, he can invite the, everybody on that. If, once he puts it on the calendar, he can say, he can invite all the stores so you kind of know when it is.
Okay.
So, my, because I've heard this from Tim and a few other people, my, kind of in this process, I'm not real sure where it's gonna go, so there's 2 things. Number 1 is, with Emily, is celebrating the wins, right? So, at what point do we want to celebrate? I won't say that's going to be a question today. Maybe as we move along in Todd's classes, I'll ask that question. So, the only social media I do is LinkedIn. And I do it for one reason only, and that's either to learn something what other people are doing, or to make contacts with people that I might need in the future. So, this was one from Friday. I'm so thrilled to see hungry leaders achieve their goals. This amazing lady set her sights high when she joined our team in Canton a few months back. Today, she's an unofficial member of management. Congratulations, Lexi. We're excited to see you continue on your career path to greatness. Now, this didn't say she was a great manager, and it just said she's on the management path. And then, basically, you know their school board? Their school board's hanging up right there. There's the district manager, the general manager, the assistant manager, the field marketing manager, and then there's Lexi. She's the shift manager. How awesome is that?
That's fantastic.
So we put that on the Facebook page, we put that on both on the different LinkedIn pages we have, and we celebrate it. So that's one thing. And then this one of the best parts of my job is saying thank you to so many people who work so very hard. Vicky Joyner, a 38-year GM, operates one of the best restaurants in the country at Broad Street in Chattanooga. Thank you, Vicky, for all what you've done. Kind of the same thing. This is what we want. Because if people see this, holy crap, that company is, they must be a good company to work for, they're celebrating it. This is what, Emily's number 1 job, like I've said, you don't know what your number 1 focus is this. I want to celebrate it when I've got Decula's new health score. Brian had his stuff put up for his Stereotech. Lacey just joined our team. I want these people celebrated to the hill, so everybody knows how good our people are.
That was good.
I mean, anything and everything. So, and then the second thing I would like to do, and I've kind of been in touch with somebody with Zaxby's is take these people, I don't know at what point in here, and go take a tour of corporate. Whether it's the test kitchen, you might say, hey,
Yeah.
they're gonna be with me for a few years, they're going into marketing and I can set up something. They used to have it, they're getting ready to start it back up. I kind of gave my idea of what I had and they said, give me a call, we'll work with you. It's stupid for us not to have something, because again, if they see the bigger picture, if they see the reason why things are happening, maybe they see, I wanna go into that part of the world one day down the road, and if they do good for us, we can be a good word to get them in there. Again, we'll figure out that process, and at what point do we celebrate them too would be the other question. So again, that would probably be homework for me with those two things, and I'll put that in a neater form for you guys to look at, and if there's any questions or comments about anything.
Everybody clear?
Absolutely.
Crystal?
And again, if there's anything that's slowing us down, or just let us know. Like you said, it's not
Week by week.
always gonna be perfectly black and white. To me, it goes back to the 75-25. The people that have excelled with us in our company the fastest are the 75ers. They're the ones that like took it, they're doing stuff on their own, they're doing homework,
We work together.
you're not having to ask them to learn stuff, and we've all had those people, and then you've got the ones that are working at like 50%, and they're just gonna take them instead of a 6-week plan that you had laid out. That's not necessarily bad. Maybe it's an 8-week plan. It's just gonna take longer.
Heard.
And if there's, please come to me. I've been very cognizant lately. I know Todd's giving me a bunch of stuff, Shane's giving me all stuff, Heather. I've told them, I'm not giving you anything. I'm gonna try to manage this thing and make sure that, because the worst thing I feel like I can do is come at you with something different. If there's something that you're hearing that, hey, well, somebody said this and I'm not real sure about that, because we'll go over this as a team and make sure everybody's clear, and is there any questions that they may have for you guys? And if there's something different coming out, I need to know about it, because then I wasn't clear on the communication of doing what you guys gave a check mark to, all the way down. So will y'all do that for me, please?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sam, let's take 10.